Hi, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel as we're going to take a look at the Gemini New Moon happening on June 18th, 2023. That's just after midnight Eastern Time. So keep in mind that this new moon could happen for you on June 17th, depending on your location on the planet. This new moon is where we see the sun and the moon together at the same degree point, 26 degrees, 43 minutes of Gemini. So this is the degree you would identify in your astrology chart, as this is where a new beginning is happening. This is where the energy is initiating something for you in the Gemini themes in our lives. Now, Gemini is about communications, what we read, what we absorb and take in, what we think about. It's a very cerebral energy. It is curious. It asks questions and wants to gather information. This is also the energy of short distance travel, where we do things in a daily manner, meaning the things you need to do every day, whether those are your errands or things you take care of for work or just your daily schedule. All of that is included in Gemini. It's also related to your local environment. And that includes your neighbors, the people that you see in your community, just people around you. And so in this energy of a Gemini new moon, there are new intentions to be planted here about something that perhaps you're ready to do differently or in a new way. Gemini is also the energy of duality, where there could be things that you learn first and then you apply. Meaning you take in the information, you understand something, then you put it into use. Then you understand what's going on and you do something with it. So there is always two sides to the Gemini energy. It's also related to the student-teacher dynamic, where you could feel like in some areas of life you're definitely a student, where in other areas of life you are a teacher, and how we move back and forth between those roles and those experiences in our life. And that isn't only about school or education, which is something that Gemini rules as well, but it's about what you do with the information. And maybe you're getting some new insights based on new information. Maybe there's new ideas, new projects, new things you want to get going or you want to begin. Now you'll notice that this new moon is happening at 26 degrees, nearly 27 degrees of Gemini. And there's two things here that are important. The first is that it's towards the end of Gemini season, as we are now in a lunar reversal cycle where we have the new moon towards the end of each astrological sign's season. This is going to occur for the next year or so. So the new moon is happening at the end of Gemini season. So it could feel like Gemini season, there's a lot going on, a lot of things happening and in motion. Gemini is also the sprinter. It's the messenger, a lot flying around. And now at the end of Gemini season, you've understood some things about how this energy has been showing up for you. And maybe you have some new intentions around how you want to work with these Gemini energies more intentionally. So when the new moon is at the end of an astrological sign, there could be something here that you've realized through that astrological sign's journey, and now you're ready to maybe make some new intentions, do it differently, see it in a new way, or at least be very clear in what works for you or doesn't work for you now. This can also feel, I was going to say reactionary, but it can kind of feel like cleaning up. Like here we are towards the end of Gemini season, cleaning up. What's unfinished? What do you need to take care of? What do you need to get back to? Who do you need to get back to, right? Like if there's been a lot going on, you're like, oh, dang it, I never responded to that email, or shoot, I need to get back to that person. It can feel like, okay, I'm getting myself together here with this Gemini new moon, understanding the priorities, perhaps making that to-do list and moving through it. And it can be that sense of, again, it's like cleaning up after the astrological journey is nearly complete. Every astrological sign goes to 29 degrees. So this is at 27 degrees, 26, 27 degrees. Only 2 more days of the sun's journey in Gemini until it moves into Cancer, which is also the solstice. So we have this energy that is closing out and ending. What have you learned from it? What do you want to change or do differently? What is something that's now coming to your awareness about how you want to be more intentional with the Gemini energies going forward? So that's the first thing here. The second thing that stands out to me is that because this is at 26, nearly 27 degrees of Gemini, it's opposing the galactic center, which is at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. So there is something receptive about this new moon where the galactic center energies stream in, come through, land in our human brains, give us something to further integrate at a more personal level. Also to think about, contemplate, really perhaps understand in a new way or open up to a new understanding. And this is how the Gemini energy can continue to grow and evolve, is that because it's opposing that galactic center, it's bringing in expansive energies to see things differently, to understand something in a new way. From a bigger perspective, that cosmic perspective, the energetics of it all. So there could be something here that this Gemini new moon calls in for you. Kind of, it can feel like, I'm actually getting the image of a gravitational pull from that galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius coming through into our local energies, our everyday environments, and what we are understanding even about the bigger perspective of our everyday life. Where yes, we have to take care of things, we have errands to do, you take the kids to school or to camp, or you go to work, or there's just things we do in our daily lives. But there could be something here that opens you up to a bigger meaning. Or maybe it's even an invitation to integrate a bigger meaning into your daily life so that you can perhaps see it in a new way, in a different way. This Gemini energy, it can be very restless. It can be very scattered. It can be a bit like a squirrel running around doing all the things, and then lose track of what's important. So there could be something here with this opposition to the galactic center where you're understanding what really matters in your daily life. Yes, some things are frivolous, they're just passing through, they're not a big deal, but maybe there's something that you want to intentionally work with through these Gemini energies that allow you to enjoy the daily energies even more, whether you feel that as the daily grind, the daily hustle, even just going about things in your life. There could be an expansion here. And again, I feel it's that gravitational pull, pulling in more meaning, understanding more of what you do want or need in your daily life that's going to be better for you, especially at a mental level, because that Gemini energy, it's used to going. It can actually have a really difficult time meditating because of how active the mind is. Now, on that note, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and here we have Mercury in his home sign of Gemini, adding more busyness, adding more into what is in front of us, what is going on, what we're taking in, what we are understanding. This is a very active mind. So there's a lot going on here in our minds that on the one hand, it could feel like it's just flowing, it's easy. There's a sense of things are just now happening and they're picking up the pace. And it can also feel very busy. It can feel like maybe you're overwhelmed at times as well. So, of course, trust whatever is true for you, but know that this Gemini new moon is typically an active one. It's typically about being on the move. So when I look at this chart, the only major aspect here to the sun and the moon is a square from this Neptune at 27 degrees of Pisces, 38 minutes. This is new territory for Neptune and Pisces. And so it's also squaring the galactic center, bringing up more questions, bringing up confusion. The square from this Neptune and Pisces to the sun and the moon is a square of removal, of confusion, of lacking clarity. And it could be that, especially, I'm going to say a day after this Gemini new moon, when the sun gets to 27 degrees and makes an exact square to Pisces, or Neptune and Pisces at 27, there's a sense of I don't want to. Neptune and Pisces squaring the Gemini planets, it's lacking clarity on the priorities. What should I focus on? What should I do? What should I choose? This could be where you have a hard time with your words, because this Neptune energy is bringing in more intuition. It's bringing in more of the energetics of what you're feeling and sensing that challenges the typical strength of that Gemini mind, where you could even just need a break with this Neptune squaring both the sun and the moon. It's a time to do less, where you might feel like the energy is being removed from you. And that's also how this Neptune and Pisces work, is it's a removal. It dissolves. It's actually about transcendence. Transcendence above the mundane, above the everyday, above the typical things you do. And again, it's like this, see it differently. So just as this energy is opposing the galactic center and squaring this Neptune, there's something we're meant to rise above and see differently in our daily world. I also feel like we're meant to open up to anything that we've been overly focused on mentally, where if you've been overthinking, if you have had a lot of anxiety or mental stress or mental worry, this is the energy of let it go, surrender. And let's be real, that's very fearful for the mind, especially the Gemini mind, right? We have Mercury, Sun, Moon here, all in Gemini. It's like, well, no, let me think about it more. Let me think through every possible scenario that could possibly occur. That's one way that the Gemini energy will naturally navigate life. Let me think it through. Let me think through this, this, and this. I'm going to think through A, B, C, and X, Y, Z. And that's kind of the comfort zone. Not kind of, it is. It's the Gemini comfort zone. Thinking, talking, communicating, expressing. And this is saying, get out of your head. Get into your intuition. Allow yourself to be more receptive. Turn this down. If this has been operating at an 11, you might feel like, okay, I need to turn it down to 4, because this Neptune energy is bringing in a download that the mind could want to reject. But Neptune is a powerful influence. And as I mentioned about the Neptune squaring, it's a removal. So it takes away something that you're normally wanting to speak or say. It's sort of like you can be so strong in these Gemini strengths until you get the Neptune square, which removes that and you realize, oh my goodness, I'm not as proficient as something that I used to be. Or you could feel yourself stumbling. You could feel like you don't have the right words. It's not a good communication day unless you're integrating your intuition. Unless you're trusting what that intuitive message is and you're allowing that intuitive message to be delivered to the mind. Now, sometimes with the square from Neptune, there can be deception, betrayal, things that you don't see clearly, white lies. So that's also something to be aware of with this energy, is that someone might not be telling you the full story. They're keeping it hidden. It's being hidden behind this Neptune and Pisces curtain. And you're not getting all the information. You're not getting all the facts. You're not getting all the details, which is what Gemini wants. So just keep that in mind during this Gemini new moon, that it actually feels more mystical and intuitive than the Gemini mind is comfortable with, because Gemini is like, let's be logical. Show me the science, show me the data, show me the facts. And this energy is more about trusting the unseen, or allowing that to come through and come in. Now, before this new moon, this Mercury was in a square to Saturn at 7 degrees of Pisces. And all this month of June, Saturn is hanging out at 7 degrees. You can see this S here. S is for stationing, because Saturn is stationing retrograde during this Gemini new moon. And again, it was previously squaring this Mercury, which could have made for difficult communications. So just a heads up about that before the Gemini new moon, is that it's almost like this Gemini energy hasn't had this much Pisces energy to contend with. And so there's something about this Gemini energy feeling like it's off its groove. And Saturn squaring Mercury can be like a defeat, feeling defeated. Stay aware of anything that could feel depressing or like it's futile. Almost like, don't believe your mind. Don't believe everything you think. This is a mental surrender with these planets interacting with the planets in Pisces. There's something here that you could feel it's leaving. It's ending, it's over, it's gone. And that can be disappointing. Depending on your chart, of course, and how this energy is working with you personally. Now, for other people, you might not have this experience, but just keep in mind that around the middle of June here, these are changes, because the Pisces energy and the Gemini energies are mutable signs, so people are making different choices. There's new information coming in, information you didn't know, you weren't aware of, coming in, changing the plans, changing the direction, switching things up. I also feel this, though, as something being held back, where it's kind of this, it's not clear. It's like not feeling like you have all the information. In which case, we're not meant to know some things just yet. We're not meant to have the full story yet. We're still moving through a process. Now, as the sun and the moon and eventually Mercury move into Cancer, when they enter into the water sign of Cancer, then they're going to connect harmoniously with these planets in Pisces. So then it's going to be an opening up into the feelings of it and into what your intuition knew all along. Your intuition knows something and your mind doesn't. How about that? So there's something that we're trying to think through or figure out, but it is not a mental exercise. It's something energetic and intuitive, and chances are it will come through more strongly when these planets have entered into Cancer. Now, this Saturn, because it's slowing down, is making a favorable sextile here to this Jupiter at 6 degrees of Taurus, 55 minutes, nearly 7 degrees. So they are going to have a harmonious sextile occur right after this new moon, and that's going to be the way forward. That's going to be the building blocks. That's going to show you what you're ready to take forward that is solid, real, and true. So again, that happens right after this new moon is exact. In this chart, we also have over here, you'll see Venus and Mars both in Leo. Venus travels behind Mars. They are never exactly conjunct. They get to be within about 3 or 4 degrees of each other. That's as close as they get. So they are traveling together. They're only 5 degrees apart, so that would be a conjunction. It's just not exact conjunction by degree. So they're on the same page. This can be seen as the king and the queen, the feminine and the masculine, the parts of yourself that are on the same page and in harmony around what you want to create next. And Venus is going to go into retrograde in July, and her retrograde shadow begins at 12 degrees of Leo. So she's not in her shadow zone just yet. So there could be something here that is motivating you, firing you up, supporting the ideas you have, because look at how Mercury is making a beautiful sextile to Venus and also connecting with this Mars. So there could be a sense of understanding what is giving you a creative spark, a life force, a sense of this is what I want, this is what's calling to me. So this could be something that you're feeling is driving you. Look at how this Mars is leading. Mars is leading here. He's in front of all the other personal planets. Venus, Moon, Sun, Mercury. He's leading here, which is what he likes, especially in Leo. There's a leadership energy, something you want to take forward, something you want to move forward. And Venus is happy to also be in a sense of what she wants, what her heart is craving, what her heart is wanting to create. So these are both energies that are moving us forward with courage. There's courage and confidence here. You could also feel like I have to do the thing. I want the thing, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to do it. It's calling to me, and there's something about it. I feel like it gives life, like it's a life-giving expression. Maybe it's a life-giving opportunity, idea, whatever it might be for you. But there's something here that actually could feel like you're ready to move it forward. So as I mentioned, we are currently in a cycle of the lunar energies are in reverse. So we have the new moon after the full moon. So on June 3rd and 4th, we had the Sagittarius full moon. Now we have the Gemini new moon, and the next full moon is in Capricorn, which is kind of weird when you think of how the new moon in Gemini is going to move forward and peak at the Capricorn full moon. So whatever ideas are coming up now, or perhaps not coming up, right? Since I was mentioning this square to Neptune and Pisces, it's almost like if something is not happening, or it's not coming through, or you're wondering what's going on, or you have more questions than answers, the Capricorn full moon is going to provide you with an assessment of what is practical, what is going to work, what is designed to go the distance long term. And you could feel too like part of this Gemini new moon is sorting through the details, trying to gain clarity on the information, on what to do, on the facts. And then by the Capricorn full moon, there could be something that you're understanding or seeing where you're asked to make a choice. Do I want this? Do I really want this? Or was it just a good idea? Is it just a good idea and it's passing and it's fleeting? And then the Capricorn full moon is going to give you something to understand and commit to, or to step away from. So this is our Gemini new moon, and I hope that it gave you some insights or understanding of what might be happening in your world. And yes, one more thing is, yes, we have Pluto has re-entered Capricorn as of June 12th and will stay now in Capricorn until next January 2024. So we will return to the Pluto in Capricorn endeavors. And I'll be talking about that more in the Capricorn full moon video. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I hope this, again, is supportive for you. And I look forward to your comments, your likes, and thank you so much for subscribing as well. I'll be back here soon with another video for you.